Hi, my name is Hadley GS, and my project is the robot arm controlled by DC motors and potentiometers. In my previous milestone, I had figured out how to control the motor itself using the analog write function. So for this milestone, I decided to focus on the input, or turning what the potentiometer output into the output for our motor here. To do this, and for this project, I'm using potentiometers, which can work as either resistors or they can work as an input, where you rotate the dial and it outputs a value from 0 to 1023, and you can send that value to your motor. One of the large challenges, though, that I faced was turning that input value from the potentiometer into a directly proportional output value for the motor. To solve this challenge, I was able to use the map function, which if you define your input value and your output value before you run your code, even before you set up your code, you can map the range of the input value to the range of the output value, which is super helpful here, so that essentially I can get as the potentiometer rotates its full rotation, outputting 0 to 1023, the code will turn that value into proportional within the range of 0 to 180. Okay, and here we can do the thing in action. You can see as the potentiometer turns, that servo rotates as well. This, of course, is hooked up to the analog pin, whereas the motor itself is hooked up to the digital pin. The analog pin is reading, the digital pin is sending the code. And of course, that map function is the one allowing the proportional value. Both the motor and the potentiometer have to be hooked up to the positive and negative strips so they can power on. And now for the code. The code itself for this milestone was very simple. Once we include that servo library, we just have to define that servo, and then we can set our input and output values to their starting values. In the setup loop, we're just attaching the servo to the PWM pin that we are attaching it to, and we're writing that initial output value. In the loop, we are going to read that analog pin, make that an input value. We're going to then turn that input value into the output value using that map function, so I get the directly proportional range, and then finally we're going to send that new output value to the servo. For my next milestone, I will be building the arm itself, which I'm super excited for, and hooking up the motors, and all 4 motors actually, and all 4 potentiometers. And we'll have direct control over all the joints. So there we go.